And how did you do this? I don't know how.
That's a terrible Q&A question because it's going to take us like 3 hours.
Well, I was actually thinking about it before I came out. I was like, I think they could make a movie about how did you make this movie. So someone else will have to do that.
Sounds exhausting.
So you'll have to
Someone else-
interview you in the
someone else take
future.
it, yeah.
Yes.
As Claudette knows, we used to do a lot of music videos, and we would get rejected a lot, and we had all these leftover ideas, so we were like, let's make a movie with everything in it, so we can use up all those things that, you know, Rihanna said no to.
Thank you, Rihanna.
Never let a good idea go to waste. I love that.
I will say that the thing people always say when they see this is like, how did you get it made? How is it possible? Like, who said yes to this? And I think the thing that is really special about our careers is, you know, is we took it kind of slow. You know, we've been doing this for about 10 years, and we've been slowly building up the ability to make something like this. You know, we started out just making stuff in our bedrooms. We pulled in a couple friends, and slowly, after every project, we pulled in another friend. We pulled in a DP, we pulled in the first AD, and every single time, the crew grew bigger, and our ambition grew bigger, and it's really, I just want to just take a moment to thank our crew members here who have been with us. If you worked on the movie, please stand up. Please stand up.
If you worked on the
If you
movie,
worked on the movie, please stand up, guys. Thank you. So in a lot of ways, this family we've built, we've been working slowly, you know, over a decade, and by the time we were ready to write this movie, we knew our crew was up for the task, and we knew what their strengths were, we knew what their weaknesses were, we knew, in some ways like this, our whole careers have been kind of moving towards making this movie, and I'm really, it's probably the first time I'm like truly proud of something I've made. So it's really, I mean, yeah. You know, it's, you know, we're our worst critics, but this is like something I feel, I wasn't too nervous about showing this to you guys, which is remarkable.
usually I'm the cheerleader, and he's like, it's not good enough.
I'm hiding in the bathroom usually.
This time I didn't have to, yeah.
Oh, by the way, I had to pee really badly after this screening, and the men's room, there's a long line. Thank you for letting me cut. You guys. Also, big shout out to everyone who waited till after the movie was done to pee. Thank you. That means a lot to me.
It's very important,
You know?
yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Commitment.
That's a long answer, but that's part of
No, that's a great answer. I was also going to mention we'll take audience Q&A. So if you have a question, there's some microphones right here in the aisle. So if you want to queue up for that, we will get to that. So it's kind of what you're describing. It sounds like you like built a crew and the people you work with a lot of trust. As far as I know, I think this is the first time you've worked with all of these actors. How did you make this dream team happen?
We got to work with Steph once, so we knew she was weird and she knew we were weird.
Down to get funky.
Yeah. It's a miracle. It's like so many happy accidents led us to working with these folks. But the first one was that we wrote a part and then realized no one on earth could play it but Michelle Yeoh. And then she enthusiastically said yes, and that made it so much easier to get the movie made.
Michelle Yeoh has a gravity.
Yeah.
It just pulls people in, and I think so much momentum came from just you saying yes. So thank you, Michelle, for that.
Honestly, I think they're giving me way too much credit. Okay, you too wrote a remarkable script. I think that script just blew all of us away. I mean, I still don't understand it. So we had a really wild time. But Stephanie. Set and I watch her and I'm like, oh God, thank God I'm not competing with her for anything. To me, it's like, what an incredible talent. And of course, playing my lovely, sweet, and alpha Lobo husband. Thank you for coming back after 20 years. And sharing your talent with us once you're never going away again, okay? That's all I can say to you. And of course, Jamie Lee Curtis. Now, who the hell is that? Every day going to work it wasn't even work, it was a joy. I mean, half the time we all looked at each other and go, what are we doing? I don't know. Let's just get on with it. But there was so much love and fun and amazing crew. Everybody just wanted to be there and gave their best. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you to my amazing cast. Down there, my martial arts boys.
Get up, boys!
Larkin, Shirley, all of you. Larkin?
Are you going to embarrass Larkin right now? I think you should embarrass Larkin right now.
Larkin, get your ass up.
Oh, that's our cinematographer? He called in sick on another project to be here. Thank you.
Outing him. Let's take some, there's a lot of audience questions, so let's start there. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we saw a lot of creative, wacky stuff like the hot dog fingers. I'm wondering what kind of ideas were left on the cutting room floor.
There's one that like some people on set were like, that's my favorite thing I've ever worked on, and it's on the cutting room floor. It's called Spaghetti Baby Noodle Boy, and it's a universe where a talking macaroni doesn't understand why he's not a spaghetti, and his mom has to explain to him he's a macaroni, and Spaghetti Baby Noodle Boy was voiced by Jenny Slate, and she did an incredible job, and it just didn't quite fit in the movie. We would test it, and people would be like, I don't know why there's that 2-minute spaghetti scene, but it's a Blu-ray, it's not dead forever, yeah.
That'll be another hour of DVD extras of other ideas. Go ahead.
Speaking of voices, I didn't see a credit for the voice of Rekha Cooney, and it sounded to me like Randy Newman. Was it Randy Newman?
Was it Randy Newman?
Ding, ding, ding.
It was, we got him. And our incredible composers who are in the row right there.
Stand up, someone. Come on, someone. Say hi. Say hi. There we go. Yeah.
They had to write a song in the style of Randy Newman for Randy Newman, and then like pitch it to Randy Newman. And luckily he was gracious.
And the whole track is available on the soundtrack.
Oh yeah, there's an extended
Out
version. Yeah.
end of the month, so you can go pick up a Rakakuni. It's going to be on vinyl eventually, but for now you can buy the
Okay,
soundtrack.
I'll buy everyone. He's my favorite character. I've been putting raccoon emojis on everything since we saw the film. Okay, next question.
Hi, my name's Andrew, and I absolutely loved this film. This was so wonderfully insane.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you all. This was fantastic. I can't wait to see it again.
Bring your friends.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, you know it. I wanted to ask the cast a question because the multiverse is such an interesting concept and has endless possibilities, as this film definitely demonstrated. What was the process for you to prepare for these different versions and characters, and did you find any difficulties trying to find the exact differences in the characters?
Well, for me, I was really nervous in the beginning when I read the script and I got the part, because I'm playing not just one character, but 3 versions of the same character. So it was really important to me that you're all able to distinguish each character just based on how he talks and how he moves and how he walks. So yeah, luckily I had like 3 months to prepare and do research for this. So I hired literally an acting coach, a dialogue coach, a voice coach, and most interestingly, a body movement coach. And the body movement coach had a really interesting process. He read the script and he would pick specific animals to represent Alpha Wayman, or CEO Wayman. For example, Alpha Wayman, it would be an eagle, and CEO Wayman, it would be a fox. And then for the Wayman, in this universe, it was a squirrel. So I would watch countless hours of videos of a squirrel. Nothing but squirrel, how he walks, how he eats. And not only that, I was required to print out pictures of different looking squirrels. And I had them taped on my wall, like the entire wall. And basically, I don't think my wife was very happy about it, because no matter where she goes, she would see pictures of that. And the process starts where I'm 100% squirrel. So I was literally in a theater on all fours, walking, crawling around, eating like a squirrel, and then slowly transform into 100% Wayman. And that was my process for this.
I like that. I want to see that.
Yeah, next time you see him in the suit as CEO Wayman, you'll be like, ooh, fox.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Osalu Nase Obiemira. I'm a Nigerian American, and I cried, I laughed a lot, and I just want to say thank you for producing an amazing film. But specifically, I would like to know exactly how you were able to transcend the generational trauma, I think, from a mother to a daughter that I've experienced it in different ways, and yes, there are individuals from specific cultures that have seen it, you know, come out in different ways. But I would like to hear a little bit more about how you were able to drag out such, honestly, painful things, you know, into such a beautiful story.
Thank you. You're hitting us with the hard questions.
I'm sorry.
No, it's important. Thank
Don't have
you.
me crying.
I know, it's all our fault. We put it on the screen, so it's an open invitation to ask that question. So this movie has taken us so long to make, a lot of different reasons. But when I started, I was, not even married. And by the time, like now, as I'm sitting here, I'm married. I have a house. I have a kid. So I've gone through like 3 or 4 stages of my life while working on this movie, and now I've actually been able to start it from the perspective of Joy and end it more from the perspective of Evelyn. And it's given me so much insight on the generational trauma question that you have, because this is something the moment my son was born, I suddenly realized what generational trauma was. It was like, to me, it was always just like, oh, me the victim. And then once I became the father, I was like, oh, I'm gonna pass this on if I'm not careful. And I think one of the hardest things you can do in life is to, first, to change your mind. Like, I think that's not given enough stock in, our current society, that changing your mind should be, rewarded, should be applauded. Rather, I think a lot of times when people change their minds, it's very much like a haha, told you so. So changing your mind. And then the other thing is trying to break that endless link or the chain of generational trauma. And I think this movie kind of shows how hard it is by basically showing you have to literally blow up your brain. You have to blow up your brain. You have to basically say no to everything you believe to be true, and you have to exist in a chaos that is really uncomfortable in order to see things for how they are and realize, oh, I can make my own way. I can understand. I know why the parents did the things they did, because now I'm a parent. But now I can understand, I can now do the work. The slate has been cleaned, and now I can do the work to actually, end the cycle. Anyways, I can ramble on about this forever.
I feel like the other gift we got was each of our cast members had their own experiences that they brought to the table, and the script changed because of it, and the performances changed drastically. So like having Steph and Michelle weigh in on these conversations, and then also having James Hong on set acting like a grandpa would. Like, James, just helped us, make it feel real.
I just want to quickly thank you for your question, because it was such a poignant and beautiful question, and it makes me so excited, because I'm like, it worked! It worked! It worked! I think to the Daniels credit, or just Daniels, not B, to Daniels' credit, you know, when we're lucky, we get to make art that helps us metabolize that trauma. And I feel like this was a really important opportunity for me, daughter of an immigrant, single mom, to like metabolize and process in a way that like I can be ugly up there in a contained way, but in life it's so much harder. And it's just so awesome to see stories so that hopefully there can be that transference of energy so we can like take it in our back pocket and go home and like practice again and try again with our own families, which is, you know, not 2.5 hours long, it's a lifetime, you know. But thanks for your question.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Dominique Nisveros, and I came here to this festival for this specifically. I'm so excited, and I'm just curious for the creators and the actors, how has the process of making this film changed with the political climate into which it was being received? And if so, how?
We're gonna find out tomorrow. But no, what a wild 6 years it's been. Oh my God. We started writing this in the fall of 2016. It was memorable. Kind of a nightmare. And then edited it during COVID, which was insanity, and now we get to release it while there's war. I don't, you know, like, but it's been healing, you know, like to work on the project and use the project as a way to talk about these tough things, you know. So far I don't regret the movie we wrote, you know. It's helped us, yeah, work through wild times to have something to work on, yeah.
Can I offer a specific follow-up with regards to like anti-API violence?
Yeah, a lot of that, like you said, happened actually after we already shot it. So it's, you know, if you were thinking of that while you're watching that, that's just not the weird way the brain works. But you know, I do think, regardless, the whole thing is it's a celebration of humanity, of course, of Asian Americans, but of just everyone, and it's a celebration of understanding that there is a time and a place for force, and a time and a place for anger, but there's also a beautiful place for empathy and a beautiful place for understanding. And I just remember once I read a tweet that said, like, empathy is not foolish. It is not foolish, and it is not. It does not mean agreement. Empathy is strategic and necessary, and it's, you know, and like I remember reading that and be like, this is what I needed to hear, and I want to put that on the screen. And obviously, we put all of that onto the character Wayman, and he did an incredible job of showing that. And I think, you know, obviously, there's a sorry, my brain's just going from like, the AAPI violence and the hatred, and how I'm even watching it go towards now to Russians here in America. And I'm seeing how, like, basically it doesn't matter who you are, we're not safe. You're not safe in a world that is afraid of each other, you know, and it doesn't matter if you're Asian or, you know, if you go back to the World War II with the Japanese, and it's probably going to always be with us. And I think it's really important for storytellers and people who have you know, some sort of platform just to kind of coax us back towards the center, coax us back towards a place of empathy, you know, in any small way. You know, even if this moves the needle like a little inch, how beautiful, how wonderful. So, yeah, I don't know. I can ramble on forever. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of starstruck right now. I've been a huge fan of your work for years, but it was really like Swiss Army Man that those feelings of loneliness and acceptance in the weirdest of ways, that was just insanely empowering to me. And something else that I really resonated with here is the topic of, I would assume, mental illness, and how easy it is to fall into these ideas of existentialism and nihilism. And so I wanted to know if there was really anything that inspired that side of the story.
I love these questions. We could just
you would never know this was an action movie, guys. They saw this Q&A. I love it though. It's so great. Thank you. I'm glad you like Swiss Army Man. Sorry, you were going to say something.
No, I think Dan and I were excited to take a multiverse movie as far as it could possibly go until it got to Nihilistic Nowhere Town. And that was inspired kind of by some of our darkest thoughts we'd ever had. And it felt like what an interesting thing to do with science fiction, to go somewhere like philosophically scary, you know? And that was, we reflected on ourselves and what took us there and why, you know, and how to get out of that. And this sort of answers your question, but like, we ended up finding that like, oh, there's something kind of beautiful about nihilistic thoughts, because they break down your blame machine, and suddenly you're just like, oh, if nothing matters, then
what does matter?
I should be nice.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't punch people. But yeah, I don't want to talk about my mental illness. I'm going to leave it at that.
I'll try to keep this short, but I do think that one of the weirdest things about this movie is like I was writing this movie and I was like, I think the main character probably should have like undiagnosed ADHD. I think it just makes sense. So I started doing research because I wanted to do it right, you know? And then like, you know, at 4 in the morning, I'm like crying in my bed and like, I think I have undiagnosed ADHD. And it's funny, but I think you know, with Swiss Army Man, I didn't know that, you know, and it's there, you know, and with this movie, it's wild, you know, because I think at one point someone asked, why is suicide in both of these films, and why are these like, it's so fun, it's so, you know, playful, why are we putting these things in? And like, I'm only realizing it now that I have been diagnosed and I've been going to therapy and, you know, I've gone to a psychiatrist, and like I'm in a much better place now. I'm a much happier human being. I'm a much, you know, it's like, come on, mental health is amazing, guys. When you can get the help and put a label on the thing that's been haunting you your whole life. And now there's so many studies on ADHD that are kind of mind-blowing. And you know, one of the big things is, you know, if you have ADHD undiagnosed, you have a 16, your lifespan is cut down by 16 years on average. And that's because of suicide, and it's because of risky behavior. And so I'm realizing, I was like, oh, this whole time, these really dark thoughts and this really deep depression that you saw in Swiss Army Man and that you see in the character of Joy, I'm realizing now, I was like, oh, I can put a name on that now. This is not a scary thing anymore. It's like the first step towards, you know, basically building out a version of myself that doesn't have to be afraid of those thoughts. So I don't know. We'll see what the next movie makes me realize about myself. You know, it's like, it's kind of, I don't know, I'm so lucky that I get to work out this trauma and stuff like that on the big screen. You know, it's like bizarre, but I'm glad you connected with it all.
Thank you very much.
All right, I think we have time for one more. So hit us with something good.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure. Damn. Okay. Hi, my name's Madison, and I just wanted to start off by saying, I'm really nervous, sorry, that it was a great movie. It was phenomenal in just so many different ways, and I have to fangirl for a moment. Jamie, you have been an icon to me. But I'm actually new to screenwriting, and I wondered if you guys have any advice about getting started and just the best way to keep up with it and not to give up on yourself.
Don't ask us. We took like 3 or 4 years to write this script. It's I don't know. Do you have any advice? I feel like I'm such a terrible.
I'm sorry
writer.
for the
No. It's
I'll piggyback. Well, I'll say 2 things. One, I love writing with friends. I never thought I was a writer, and then like writing with friends, suddenly I was like, oh, I have opinions, and this is so fun. That made me laugh. Great, let's write it. And there's no wrong way to make art, you know? Like, you don't have to sit and do it the way the book says. And
there's a book?
There's
right, I was
books
gonna say,
about
could have
it. So many. And people are like, you gotta read the book. And,
No one needs them.
sometimes they're helpful, but the other thing is that, like, what Dan just said, like, write something that you're gonna grow from, so it doesn't matter who watches it or if it gets made, you know, you still like went on a worthwhile, you know, artistic journey.
And that's going to be the most interesting stuff that comes out of you anyway. So like I think that's also going to, for us, we found that's where our success comes, is when we are willing to go there, you know.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And our failures inspire us, you know, as well. You
Yeah,
write that
totally.
thing, doesn't get made, Rihanna, fine. And then you get to open South by.
I just want, just because Jamie backstage, you were saying, this is the first time Jamie's seen the film. She was waiting to see it with an audience. And I just want to hear your reaction a little bit.
Well, I can tell you something. I now have a new reason for masks. They're very good at wiping your nose after you've been crying. Just in case you have a bunch lying around and soon we're going to throw them all away. Save them for like when you see a movie that moves you deeply, because you can go like this and wipe your eyes, and they are very absorbent.
And please, when this film is coming out, when?
It's coming out on the 25th in New York and LA, then the 1st in more cities, and the 8th very wide. April
Everywhere.
8th.
Tell
So-
your friends, bring your families,
Yeah.
bring your, I don't know, your grandparents. It's like, we
Yeah.
want everyone to watch this movie.
It's for everyone. And I'll say too, you know, that's like what Jamie was saying, like she waited to see it with an audience because there's nothing like watching movies together in the theater, and hearing y'all react to this film makes doing everything for South by worth it. All of y'all's hard work, and like, go to the fucking movies because they're amazing!
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you so much for